Welcome to Inside Pitch. I'm Jeff Gordon, Post-Dispatch, joined by columnist Lynn Worth. Well, Lynn, we're a month into the season. We've seen some questions answered, some questions that are still being looked at, not being answered, some changes with the roster. So let's start with a really big answered question, and that is, can Matthew Liberatore finally step up and assume a role in the rotation? Looks like so far so good, a month into the season.
Yeah, he was probably the biggest surprise in terms of both the fact that throughout the spring training, we weren't really sure that he was going to be a starting option. He looked so good in the bullpen last season. And then the fact that they just sort of, said not only is he in the rotation, but he's the number 5 starter. He's not going to be the swing guy. It's really looked pretty good so far. You can make the case he's been your most consistent starter to this point, a month into the season. He goes 6 innings every time. He's giving you quality starts. And I think he's got some ridiculous strikeout to walk ratio that's like 14-1 so far. So he's been very solid for a guy that you weren't sure was even in the starting pitching picture, that is.
Now you look at the rotation overall, and these guys are pretty much who you thought they were. Some pluses and minuses, some inconsistency, but on balance, you look at the group, and I think realistically, this is about what you could have expected. Maybe a little more from Eric Fedde, but otherwise, these guys are who they are, and for the first month, been okay.
Yeah, they're not going to carry you, but they're at least giving you chances to win ball games for the most part. Miles Michaelis had that one awful outing, but other than that, he's been about 2 or 3 runs per start, give you 5 or 6 innings, and they've been really quick to make sure he doesn't get too deep into a game where he's going to get into trouble. Sonny Gray has looked better than we thought coming out of spring training when his velocity was down, and he looked like it might be a rough season. So you've been getting basically what you thought you would get from them, not lighting the world on fire, but they've been steady for the most part.
Now, unanswered questions remain with the bullpen. Last time we talked, we were concerned about Ryan Fernandez and how it's gone so far. The team was as well. He's trying to get it back together now after a demotion. A lot to be determined about the bullpen behind Ryan Helsley, who had one rough outing, but generally is Ryan Helsley. The rest of the group, well, I guess they're still searching.
Yeah, and it's going to be an ongoing search just to try and get the ball to Helsley. Fernandez goes down, Riley O'Brien comes up. He's a guy who, the data on his pitches, his stuff is off the charts. It's putting it together, it's staying healthy, it's being able to do it consistently. So they're going to give him a chance. Kyle Leahy has looked very good. So you've got some guys, Jojo Romero still looks like he's got some ups and downs, so you're going to try and work through things with him. But that's going to continue to be a work in progress in the bullpen.
Well, not a lot in the minors right there to fix that, so we'll see how they work with what they have. There have been some changes, some shuffling with the position players, injuries and such. Some adjustments have been made. A lot of fans were clamoring to see more of Thomas Ajayce, who certainly has moments as a hitter. But you're trying to find at bats still for Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman, getting them going. You're still trying to keep the pieces to work in the puzzle. Your take on how they've adjusted the position players through the first month of the season?
Yes, JC going down to me was inevitable just because he wasn't going to get the playing time. And I had written this even before that move took place, that when Wynn came back, JC's playing time would be limited. And once you do that, then there's no point in having him there. So even though he was swinging a pretty good bat, the fact that he was, he went from playing, I don't think he missed, I think it wasn't 2 days in a row that he didn't have at least an at bat to he went like 3 days in a row or 3 games in a row without playing. So that just wasn't going to work out as far as just what you were going to need to get from him. And since Wynn's come back, he's actually been swinging the hot bat lately. I think in the last 15 games, it's like batting 300. So he's looking like what he had looked like last season for the most part. So the playing time wasn't going to be there for him. Now Jose Barrera comes up, and he can give you a backup shortstop. He can give you a utility guy. He can play outfield if you needed to and give you a right-handed center field option, because right now with Ciani down, you don't actually have another center fielder other than Lars Nootbaar, and they want to stay away from that.
Now you look at the offense, some good things, but we've asked questions for several weeks now. Can Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker get to that level that the team is hoping for? They have their moments, they have their good games, they're good at bats, but after a month, we're still, and of course, Gorman missed time, still waiting to see that happen.
Yeah, right now, or at least coming into this week, I think both of them were batting like under 210. On bases were not good, under 300, but they're going to get that runway. This is the runway factor where they both have to get time. They're going to have to play through it. They have to know at the end of the season whether or not they can work with these guys, whether these guys can be guys they can build around. And they're not going to find that out by sending them down to AAA. In past seasons, that's probably what they would have done, but this year they're going to have to play through it.
Well, that's Lynn Worth. I'm Jeff Gordon. This is Inside Pitch. A reminder that you can get all the extra stuff we do in the digital edition of the Post-Dispatch at stltoday.com. These videos, podcasts, all sorts of cool stuff. Keep supporting local journalism. Until next time, I'm Jeff. That's Lynn. See you later.